Hello, everybody. I am Professor Rashmi Salhotra, Department of Anesthesia, UCMS and GTB Hospital, and today I will be discussing oxygen therapy for moderate COVID-19 disease. For this, I would be first wanting to share my screen. I hope my screen is visible to all. Yeah. So the objectives of this talk are: what exactly do you mean by oxygen therapy? What are the indications of oxygen therapy in COVID-19? What are the sources through which oxygen is available in the hospital? How do you connect this source to a patient? And what is the oxygen therapy and the devices required for moderate COVID disease? And then we will sum it up with a few case scenarios on how to initiate oxygen therapy. So, oxygen therapy literally means delivery of oxygen at concentration or pressure higher than that of ambient atmosphere with a goal to maintain adequate tissue oxygenation and minimize the cardiopulmonary workload. The indications and target of oxygen therapy in COVID-19 include moderate COVID-19 disease. So here you can see the guidelines, where in moderate the target oxygen achievable is 92 to 96% in non-COPD patients and 88 to 92% in patients with COPD. Severe COVID-19 disease, where the targets would be more than equal to 90% SpO2 in non-pregnant adults and SpO2 greater than equal to 92 to 96% in pregnant patients. And the third indication would be respiratory distress. Now, what are the sources of oxygen? So, in hospital, your main source of oxygen is a central pipeline supply, which you can receive either from manifold or liquid medical oxygen. But in your areas of work, you will find terminal wall outlets. And the second source can be oxygen cylinders. So now we will discuss one by one each of these sources. On your left, you see oxygen gas pipelines, which is transporting oxygen from the manifold. Or you can also have a liquid medical oxygen source. And what you see is this terminal outlet on the wall, through which you attach certain things to make this oxygen deliverable to your patients. Now, these pipelines are fitted with emergency valve systems, emergency alarm systems. So the normal oxygen pressure in pipeline is 50 to 55 psig, and the alarms are activated when there is a pressure drop in the pipeline. There also maybe is a provision of shut-off valve in case of emergency like fire, because oxygen is a flammable object. The second type of oxygen source is an oxygen cylinder, which has pressurized medical grade oxygen, and the pressure is as high as 1900 to 2000 psi. Compared to the pipeline pressure, this is almost 40 times high pressure. The cylinders are available in various sizes, where you have the B-type cylinders, which are available in most of the wards and are used for patient transport. The volume of this cylinder is around 200 liters. And then you have D-type cylinders, which are fitted in the oxygen manifold or are also available at critical care areas like ICU. Here the volume of oxygen is 400 liters. The B-type cylinders, if you use them at 5 liters per minute, they will last for 40 minutes. And the D-type cylinders, if you use at 5 liters per minute, have the capacity which would last around 80 minutes, and at 10 liters per minute, that would last around 40 minutes. So now you know that these cylinders should also have another backup cylinder, because they are not going to last very long for a patient on oxygen therapy. Plus, another disadvantage with the oxygen cylinder is that they do not have an alarm system, unlike your pipeline supply. So, backups are essential and they are a must. Now, you have the oxygen source in the form of a wall outlet, or you have a cylinder. Now, how would you connect the cylinder or the pipeline to the patient? So, let's talk one by one. First, we will know how to use a terminal or wall outlet for oxygen. The terminal outlet is gas specific and is of two types, the diameter index safety system and there are quick connectors. The importance of knowing this are they are available in various shapes and sizes, and so a compatibility of a connector with the pipeline or the hose or the system which you are using to deliver oxygen to the patient should always be there. If they are non-compatible, they will not fit. So you should not force them and you should not use them. Incompatible objects should not be used together. I will not go into the details of what diameter index safety system and what quick coupler system is. But the thing is that here through this picture, you can see that the terminal outlet is labeled out and the name of the gas is written. It is either oxygen or vacuum, or sometimes you have a nitrous oxide quick coupler system also. But the shapes are different. Like in oxygen, you see a hexagonal shape in this picture, and in vacuum, you see a square shape. So you cannot interchange the connections. If you do not fit these properly, then there would be a leak. So you can hear a hissing sound. Now, from this wall outlet, when you want to deliver it to the patient, you need an assembly such as this. This is known as the flow meter assembly. Here you see the flow meter tubing, and there is a flow control knob which will regulate the amount of oxygen that you would like to give. This is the bobbin which would go up when you rotate this flow control knob in the anti-clockwise direction. Remember, the valves will, any of these objects or the valves or the uh, lids would open in an anti-clockwise direction and they would close in a clockwise direction. So when you rotate a flow control knob in an anti-clockwise direction, this bobbin would rise and the diameter of the bobbin would actually indicate the level or the flow of oxygen. And this is the point where you would attach the oxygen tubing. Underneath you can see a humidifier, which is a bottle, and here I will show you through a video that, sorry. So here you can see this is a humidifier bottle. There is a mark of minimum level and there is a maximum level mark, and you fill in distilled water. This point is a flow control knob. So you attach it to the quick coupler system through the oxygen, right? So here they are attaching the oxygen and you can see a flow. It is not attached properly, but yes, now it is attached properly and you see a flow. Look, the bobbin has gone up, right? And now you can adjust the flow by rotating it clockwise or anti-clockwise. Now you have central supply oxygen can be attached to the ventilators or other machines through this kind of a oxygen hose. So here, this video, we will show you how you connect this hose. This is a compatible wall outlet connector and they are attaching it to the oxygen. See, it is a matter of technique. Now, once it is attached, tug it and you see that it doesn't come out. And for removing also, there was a small unscrewing motion that was done. This is one type of quick connector system which is available in our previous old building areas. So this is the outlet from main ICU. In old building areas, you would find this kind of oxygen outlets. But in the new building, you will find another type of outlets, and you push the panel, and that is how you can remove the tubing. Now let's talk about oxygen cylinder. So now cylinder is available. You want to make it ready to use for delivering oxygen to patient. Here you have a different type of assembly. There is a valve and there is a flow meter with humidifier assembly, and there is a pressure reducing valve in this, because you know that the oxygen cylinder was at a higher pressure as compared to pipeline. So you need to have a pressure reducing valve. The humidifier is the same. This is the flow control knob, and this is the screw portion that will go inside the cylinder, and you have to attach it and screw it and tighten it over, right? And then now you need to open the cylinder. So for this you require a key and rotate it in an anti-clockwise direction. Open the cylinder by rotating it in 2.5 turns, and then you open the flow control knob and see the bobbin rise. Next, this is the oxygen nipple, which is used to attach a green tubing. Now they are attaching a green tubing. Hold the cylinder properly, mind you. If the cylinder falls, it is a very heavy object and you might end up injuring yourself. So now you connect the device, and here you are attaching it on the nose of the patient. This is a volunteer, right? Okay. Now let's go on to oxygen therapy for moderate COVID disease. So first of all, let's say what the guidelines tell us. This is an excerpt from the latest guidelines which were released in May 2021. Here, in moderate cases, they advocate that the nasal prongs, simple face mask or mask with non-breathing reservoir bag be used depending upon the severity of hypoxia and work of breathing. So now I will talk about each of these devices in more detail. These devices can be classified as low flow system, reservoir system or high flow system. So this is the first device, which is also the nasal cannula or binasal cannula and nasal prongs. You can call either of them by either of these names. It has two prongs which will go into the nostrils of the patient, and they have an adjustable strap. It can easily be fitted into the patient, and the strap should be going above the ear, provide a better stability. They are comfortable and patient can talk and eat, and there is no claustrophobia with this device. You can start the device at a flow rate of 1 liter per minute, and FiO2 delivered would be 0.24 with this 1 liter per minute. And with each 1 liter per minute increment in oxygen flow, the FiO2 improves by 0.04. So once you have reached to a flow more than around 6 liters per minute, further increase in flows will not result in increase in the oxygen delivery to the patient. So at this time, you should, if required, your SpO2 is not being maintained, then you should switch over to a higher device. A higher device, a device which would provide a higher FiO2 would be a simple face mask, or also known as the Hudson mask. Now let's talk about the parts of this mask. Here there is a plastic reservoir. There are side holes on the exhalation port. There is an adjustable strap which goes over the head of the patient. The oxygen gets collected in the apparatus dead space at the end of expiration and is inhaled at the beginning of the next breath. So A minimum flow rate to compensate for this dead space gas is at least 5 liter per minute. So when you start it at 5 to 6 liter per minute, the delivered FiO2 is around 0.35. And as you increase the flow by 1 liter per minute with this device, the FiO2 improves by 0.05. And the maximum flow that you can use with the face mask is 10 liters per minute, where the FiO2 delivered would be around 0.06. Now you'll be able to see different kinds of face mask in your area of work. This is one of them. You can have a nebulization chamber over here, and this is known as the nebulizer mask. And another attachment of oxygen, a different attachment of oxygen tubing is seen in the mask on the right side. Now, this is a short video demonstration which shows how to apply a face mask on the patient. Use the straps, take them over the head of the patient, keep them over the ears, tighten them around the mouth, and there is a nose clip, quite similar to the clip that you can see in your N95 mask. You can tighten it around the nose of the patient. The mask should be between the lower part of the mask should be between your lips, lower lip, and in the above the chin. So in the groove of the chin it should fit so that there is less leak. And once you start oxygen, you should be able to see some amount of misting in the mask. The patient should be able to feel the flow. If you keep your ungloved hand, you should also be able to feel the flow. So that is how to make certain that the oxygen is being delivered from the oxygen port. Next device, which has been of a lot of use in the COVID scenario, is mask with reservoir bag. These masks are of two types again. One is a partial rebreathing mask and the other one is a non-rebreathing mask. Now, essentially, they are looking similar to you, but there is a difference in them. I will tell you how to differentiate. Let's go one by one. So this one is a partial rebreathing valve. Why also? Because look at this. This is an exhalation port and this is the other exhalation port. You do not see any valves over here. Plus, there is the reservoir bag and the mask. At this junction also, if there is a valve, then it is not a partial rebreathing valve. So a partial rebreathing mask will have no valves in it, right? And as compared to a non-rebreathing valve, you can see three valves. This one is the inspiratory valve, which is located between the mask and the junction of the reservoir bag. And there are two expiratory valves which are located over the expiratory or the exhalation ports. Now I will show you how to use this mask. So this is a partial rebreathing mask that you can see. And this is the nipple where you apply oxygen. That's the green tubing. Now the other end of the tubing goes into the flow meter assembly and you switch on. So the minimum flow rate required with a partial rebreathing or a non-rebreathing mask is 10 to 15 liters per minute. And once it is attached, the oxygen is flowing, you can see that the mask inflates. Now it is applied like the other simple face mask we had already seen. And once securely applied, you have to look at the bag. The reservoir bag should collapse partially during inspiration. Look closely, you should be able to see when the patient inspires, there is a movement and there is a partial collapse of the bag. I hope you all can appreciate. Yes, very well appreciated. So with a partial rebreathing mask, you can deliver 40 to 70% FiO2, and with a non-rebreathing face mask, you can deliver 0.7 to 0.9 FiO2. Another useful device is a Venturi mask. This also looks like a simple oxygen mask, but it has venturi barrel fitted. These straps and everything else is the same, but you have a venturi barrel over here. And then you can also, there is a jet port which is used to connect to oxygen, and you have air entrainment ports. So when you start the oxygen flow from the flow meter assembly, the oxygen exits the jet port and goes into the mask with a higher pressure, and as it entrains, as it goes through a higher pressure, it entrains gases from the side. So the actual delivered flow is quite high as compared to what you are giving from the wall outlet. So that makes it a high flow device. Now the exhalation port is also the same, and this is how you can position it on the face of the patient. Now you can see, I will tell you the details of the venturi valve. So this is the adjustable venturi valve. You can pull this portion and adjust this arrow to lie in front of the graduations over here. So the graduations tell you how much oxygen you would be able to deliver when you set the arrow mark in front of this. And then you can see graduations over here, 3, 4, 6, and 8. So supposing I have aligned this arrow mark to FiO2 of 28 or 0.28, and I start the device at a 4 liter per minute. So the exact FiO2 will be delivered, which will be corresponding to 0.28. And similarly, if you want to increase or decrease, you can use this. So it is a very good device when you are using for titrating oxygen therapy and delivering a set amount, a fixed amount of oxygen to the patient. It is useful in weaning off patients, and especially in patients of COPD, where you would like to give lower oxygen saturations to the lower oxygen fractions in the inspired oxygen. So this is an adjustable venturi valve. Another type of venturi valves are the interchangeable venturi valves. Here there is no barrel to adjust the amount of FiO2 delivered. So if you have to change the venturi valve if you want to increase or decrease the FiO2s. So like here with this mask, you can see there is a labeling over here on this venturi barrel. It says FiO2 of 0.6 or 60%, and flow is 15 liters per minute. What if I want to give 50% now, or say 40% now? So there is no adjustment that I can do. I remove this valve and I use the valve with 40%, which delivers 40% FiO2, and the delivery would be at the rate of 10 liters per minute. So I need to adjust the settings. Now you know about individual device. Now what device will you choose? So let's discuss them on the basis of a few cases. So there is a patient with you who's a 40-year-old male patient. He develops fever and shortness of breath, but there is no other comorbid condition. His COVID report is positive. On examination, you see that the respiratory rate is 22 breaths per minute and the saturation being maintained is 92% on room air. So now first let's do the disease categorization. This patient falls into a moderate disease category. So we can start off with either a nasal cannula or a simple face mask, and then we can move on to higher devices. So let's start with nasal cannula. Supposing we start at a flow rate of 2 liter per minute and the saturation improves to 96%. We can go on with the nasal cannula. What if the saturation does not improve? So it stays at 92 or maybe up to 93, while our target was 92 to 96%. So if you're not happy with that, then you can switch over to a simple face mask also. So you keep checking the response and adjusting or stepping up your oxygen therapy. Now this patient could not be maintained on nasal cannula, neither could he be maintained on the face mask. So he was switched over to a non-rebreathing face mask. Now in the ward, his respiratory rate went up to 32 per minute and SpO2 was 86% with an oxygen flow rate of 8 liters per minute. Now what would be your next step? Would you like to go to higher therapy modalities? No. First of all, you should be looking at the fit and then you have to look at the flow rates. So the recommended flow rates as already discussed was 10 to 15 liters per minute with a non-rebreathing face mask. So you see here the oxygen was running at 8 liters per minute. So first of all you adjust the flows to 10 to 15 liters per minute. Then you see that the oxygen is being delivered and the mask is fitting properly. So with these interventions, if you see an improvement, you carry on with this therapy. If you do not see an improvement within half an hour, you should go on to other devices, which will be discussed in some other lecture where we will be talking about severe COVID disease. Another scenario is the same patient has been receiving continuous oxygen therapy and now he is maintaining a respiratory rate of 22 breaths per minute and saturation is also 96% for the last 6 to 8 hours. Now what do you feel? So there are signs of improvement in this patient and now that he is maintaining saturation for last 6 to 8 hours, we should reconsider our therapy that we are giving. So we can go on to reducing the FiO2. So you were giving through a non-rebreathing face mask. You can go on to a partial rebreathing face mask or you can go on to a Venturi mask which will deliver lesser concentrations of oxygen. So the key message from this case scenario is that you should keep reviewing your oxygen therapy and de-escalate the therapy once there is a good response to therapy. Now one more case scenario. You are working in the casualty and there is a 52-year-old male patient who develops mild fever and there is no history of shortness of breath or other comorbid condition. He is brought to the hospital after COVID positive report. Otherwise, there were no other symptoms. But on examination, you find that the respiratory rate is 28 per minute and the saturation is 90% on room. So in the hospital, he suddenly fits into a category of severe COVID disease. But why was the patient clinically stable when he had come? This patient is a typical case of happy hypoxia. You must have encountered in your practice in the past waves and you will always encounter such patients. So keep this in mind and this patient should be given at least a non-rebreathing face mask or a partial rebreathing face mask immediately so that his saturation improves to 92 to 96%. Keep monitoring the SpO2 levels. So coming to the end, we will discuss a few take-home messages from this talk. The number one message is oxygen therapy is required for moderate to severe cases of COVID-19 and in cases of impending respiratory distress or failure. An appropriate oxygen delivery device should be selected for initiation of oxygen therapy. Administer humidified oxygen as far as possible. Monitor the patients closely for change in clinical conditions and keep titrating the oxygen therapy as per the change in disease. If the cylinders are being used for oxygen therapy, you must always have backup cylinders available. Thank you.